can, kumquat Molloy. I think the word I would use to describe my life now is wholesome. Which is not what I desired. Debaucherous is probably what I was always aiming for, but wholesome is where I got. And what I consider to be my artistic output would be life. Find it hard to single down to one thing, so painting, writing, cooking, performing, yeah, playing ukulele badly. From 4 years old, I lived with Mum and we had quite a gypsy existence. When I was about 6, my mum and I started going to a place called Cafe Yachts, which was on High Street Northcote. Now this is before High Street Northcote became the High Street Northcote that it's now known as, with like so many trendies. And so this was a place where all the ferals and hippies and poets from around Melbourne came and met and shared coffee and love affairs and poetry, and it was like a warehouse cafe. It is with just a mix and match of all these different things that were found and discovered and just left in the cafe. So it was quite a unusual place to grow up. I'd sleep under the stairwell or fall asleep as the bands were playing on the beanbags up the front. I'd say that the world that I mixed with in my early 20s, it wasn't that I began, it was just a continuation. The people I hung out with were pretty much the same people that I always had. It was just that then I was the same age as them for once, as opposed to be the little tacker. At that point, I did become quite involved in the very, very cool, glittery, partyery kind of group. Frilly knickers and short dresses and spinning and all of that kind of fabulous trash bagginess, wearing glitter and sitting in the gutter kind of a image. I remember one time being at the back of my house and I had to go to work. I was managing a bar and I was just lying on the couch, almost passed out with tiredness. I remember the feeling of having to like scrape myself up off the couch and like squeeze myself into my tight black jeans and my ruffle shirt and my suspenders and put my glitter on and kind of perform. And then the night of the Bohemian Ball, and I was meant to be performing, I just collapsed and I was in bed and I didn't get out of bed for 4 months. I was so sick. In this time of stepping out of the life that I grew up in, I've had a lot of opportunity to reflect. And it's interesting, I went to a reunion of the Cafe Yachts people, and maybe this is just how I felt. I don't know if this is what anyone else was thinking, but I felt somehow that I had failed people in getting a job and becoming a teacher and having this kind of not being the fabulous performer person. And I think growing up, I felt like there was a lot of assumption that I would become a famous actress or a famous someone. And I had my own assumption that that's what would happen. And I really did imagine that I would step into the world and life would just offer me up oysters. And I've actually been able to look back and see, well, life did offer me oysters, but they were in shells. And so I just knocked them away. I didn't realise that you've got to actually open the shell to get the oyster. It wasn't until maybe even this year or last year that I realised that I no longer had that fame hunger, but that actually being creative is something that I need to do to make myself happy. And nothing more or less than that. Like, it's not it was like all those pressures of having to succeed or prove myself just went away, and I came to that simple truth that being creative makes me a happier person and feeds my soul, and so that's why I do it. Yeah.
If you want to show us your support, subscribe to the Being Here YouTube channel. It actually makes a big difference for us. Thanks.